Welcome back to Basin Motorsports for another day here in the garage. So I've been complaining a while about not having enough storage space, or my cabinets are always completely full of parts and everything else. So I really wanted some storage space, plus I really felt like I needed better workspace, because my workspace a lot of times when I take it apart, car apart, it just gets overrun with stuff. So today I am going to put together a new cabinet that we got on Black Friday, and the surprise of it is I don't even know what's in these boxes. So backstory to this is that my wife and I have been looking at some different options to kind of give me more workspace. So that may be to add some sheds next year to put cars in, more cabinet space and everything else. So Black Friday rolled around, my wife said, hey, you still want some more storage space? And I said, yeah, I would love to have some. She said, great. I got you a new cabinet coming with some workspace. The fun part is, I don't even know what's in here. So we're gonna open it up. You guys get to see it just as fast as I do, and we're gonna somehow get it through all these parts in place. Contents of the first box looks like it's going to be the smaller cabinet. Now, if I understand right, I've got two cabinets here. I've got one or two base cabinets that have a long tabletop to them. So basically what's in box, the big box there is another cabinet, but then this one all needs to be put apart or put together. So you can kind of see it's got riv nuts. Basically those gold pieces are all riv nuts, and I'm sure in that box right here is going to be all the fasteners. So now it's time to get everything out and start assembling it per the instructions. Now again, these are Husky brand, so these are going to be the same brand as I currently have in here. I think these are supposed to be black completely, where my other cabinets are red, so they won't exactly match, but that's okay. Alright, so I've got my instructions laid out over here on the hood on the WideFox, which is right there. And it's pretty easy. It's only about 4 pages. They come with all the tools, so they got fasteners, hardware, tools here. I'll have to grab my drill bit over there. And the base cabinet itself normally comes with these adjustable legs. So these bolt on and they can be screwed out, help with adjustment on height and everything else. Now I wanted this cabinet or this surface in that to be movable. So in case I need to, ever take it down here or anything else, I didn't have to worry about it completely being only in in the same spot. It was movable. So my wife did end up ordering a set of casters. So now these are plastic. The caster kit comes with two. One is a swivel two of them are swivel and two are solid mount. So I just need to make sure I put those on the right place according to the instructions. Make sure they're not cattywampus or back and forth or anything so it'll move. So I gotta get my base cabinet first, put the wheels on while it's upside down, and then flip it over and we'll start building it that way. Okay, once the bottom is all assembled, you can see I put the casters on the front, the movable pieces there, and I think that's actually backwards of the instructions, but I would rather do it that way. So anyway, as long as they're on the same side of the cabinet, meaning they're probably both on the front or both on the back, you're gonna be okay. So then it says to put in the two sides. So the sides themselves have two screws here, kind of at the bottom corners, and then there are two underneath, so 1 and 2. It says on the right side cabinet, where this is the opening to the cabinet, the right side gets 4 of these black screws, which come with the kit. These are just a hex head, button head, and then on the left, you can kind of see down in there, that one right there is one of the black, so those are the same thing. And then it says on the left is going to be some security screws that they give you. So again, these are just button head screws there. Make sure your hinges for the door are facing the opening, and then you can next stand it up and go on to the next piece. All right, next pieces go on are going to be your top two beams. Now, of course, this is, you can see the hinge mounts here. So this is the front side. This surface is the front. So you get your two magnets, and it's kind of an L bracket shape. So on the front side here, you get two screws to hold the front together. And then on the inside, I showed you on the down in here, that way there's actually a screw shooting into the side. Now on the back, these are just on the inside, so you kind of go up and in. There's two riv nuts there. If I flip this around, you can see there's nothing on the back. So what will be here is going to be your back area, the back of the cabinet itself. So you've got all those riv nuts down that way, which will be the next piece going on. All right, the next piece is you're going to take the cabinet and lay it on its face. So the back side is going to be up, and all the riv nuts that I showed you in there are going to be there. So now this is a two-piece project for the back, and they're a little bit different. So if I showed you this one here, you can kind of see the bottom, because there's your casters. You can see it in there, and the top piece here actually lays in on top. So it comes in there, and you've got to kind of fit this kind of down underneath. So you'll want to keep probably your beams, it says to leave them loose, but I'd say the last piece here, you probably want to leave it at least loose if you want to, or not even put it at all. But you can lay this one in, kind of sneak it up under, that way you can get to those riv nuts, and then at that point you can start to put in all your pieces here. Now, one thing I'll note, they do give you this to snug it down with, and I've just been using this for the assembly, but they actually do give you a drive bit. So if you wanted to use a drill bit gun or an impact or anything like that, you could use that. Otherwise, you can just do it by hand. Okay, so once the back's all tightened up, you can then put on your countertop. Now, in the instructions, it does say don't put your doors on yet, which is fine. But I've really found that I rather would check that the doors actually touch the magnets all the way. So if I kind of swing this over, they actually do close and stay closed. Now, so it says leave all your screws loose, put the cabinet top on, put your doors on, then check it. And I really think you probably, I would say put it all together, check the doors first, and then put the cable top on. I think it's just going to be a little bit easier to be able to see what you're doing than actually have to adjust everything else. So both doors do close, and then the tabletop, obviously I've got it flipped over backwards, but you can see it's got some riv nuts down in here that go in these holes. So this, with the beveled edge, or kind of the edge there, needs to be flipped over, and that matches the contour of the door. So you can kind of see they're also shaped like that. So flip this over, put those two screws in, and the last piece is going to be the shelf inside. All right, the last piece now, once you have your cabinet top on, you're going to put in 4 brackets. Now, 2 of them are on the back wall, so there's actually slits in there. So these brackets actually go in and then slide down, and they actually have a hook up, which is going to catch your shelf itself. So there are 2 on this side. Not very easy to show you, so just know that they're in there. You've basically got 1 at each corner, and then your shelf is going to go in and pop down on each of these little fingers holding it up, and then this cabinet will be done. So simple as that. Cabinet pops right in. Door 1 latches, which is the left, and the right side also latches. So there is the full cabinet. Now, because I used the caster kit and it comes with its own screws, you're going to have some extra ones. So the awesome part is these ones here, I can get them on the package. These ones here, these button heads, boy, if those don't just look like the fasteners that came out of the wide body. So who knows, maybe I'll keep those and replace them later on for the pieces that are in the wide body now. Don't know, but we'll see. So let's go on to cabinet number 2 before we go on to the big monstrous table. So cabinet 2, I assume, is probably going to be about the same. I'll double check the instructions, but I bet, looking at the size of that compared to that box, I bet it's going to be about the same thing coming out. Okay, so you get the cabinet number 2 out of the box. So you can kind of see one is more like a general cabinet, I guess you'd say, vertical doors side by side with a shelf that I showed you inside. cabinet 2 is going to be one that's very similar, has a pull-out door plus 2 side-by-side cabinets. Now the bottom doors there, once I get it out of that base cardboard, it does have a shelf. It does have the same brackets that snap in there. Shelf goes in. They do give you, if I showed you this piece of rubber right there, that goes on top. So it's kind of nice. So really, as hard as this one here was to do, this one I just really just going to pick up. I'm going to set it on top of that cabinet, pop on the caster kit that goes on the bottom, and then sadly it's about done. I need to pop the shelf in, and then we're going to get to this big table over here. So cabinet 2 is done. Now the casters are on the same way as the other cabinet. So I've got these swivels, you can kind of see them turned out. Those are on the front, the locking wheels are on the rear, and the pieces themselves kind of come with this rubber piece inside, and I think it's packaging, but it's really good. It's kind of like a neoprene dense foam almost. So I'm going to use it. I'm going to keep it for now. I think if I put parts or anything else in here, I'll keep it from scratching. So on the bottom obviously goes together. Still got the keys. That fits fabulous. And then this is a nice roll-up drawer, and I've obviously got the keys down in there, just kind of sitting in there. But everything locks. I tell you what, same height. Those are pretty nice. Now we go on to the big table right down in there. All right, so with the table unpacked, there's not a lot of pieces to it. So you've got a tabletop right there that I have sitting there kind of out of the way right now. These are the legs, and they're actually upside down according to the directions. So the top, I guess I should say the bottom piece has got some leg extensions that go in there, so I can put those on, at least while they're upside down. And then this bottom bracing here, which I thought, oh, that's kind of nice. No, it actually goes on the other side and goes onto the bottom of the table. So it's got a top front edge, a back top, and then a back bottom according to the instructions. So if I show you kind of here, you can see how pretty much that is. So you've got the two legs, the halves, which I got to split apart, a front top, a back top, and then a back bottom, and the tabletop. So according to this, put the tabletop on the belly, basically on the top on the ground, put the legs on, and then start assembling the pieces. So now I need to step back. I need to get this stuff out of the way and start putting these pieces together. So with the legs on, now it's pretty easy. So there's a couple things to note when you're putting the legs on here. Now you've got some riv nuts down in the wood. And if you noticed, like these ones here, like that one, you can notice the spacing to the edge is different from this back. So the shorter depth from the riv nut back to the edge is the back side of the table. So you just got to know that this side will be the front with the bigger spacing, and then you can kind of see the legs. So the legs from the front edge are spaced back, and they go directly to the back side there. So when you lay these out, you'll just have to double check that both legs are in the correct manner before you tighten them down, and then you can just go ahead and then move on to the next step once you have all that done. So the next pieces are on. Now these are the legs. So obviously the top piece here is what attaches down. So it's got 4 screws that go into the wood itself there, and then you slide your kind of your bottom pieces in. Now they do make note, if I spin around here a little bit, you can kind of see there are holes in the bottom legs. So they do say in there, if your base cabinets, not the table, but if your base cabinets have casters on them like I do, what you're going to do is you're going to count 13 of these holes need to be exposed. So that is 13 there. Now if your cabinets have the legs or the feet versus the casters, you're going to put 10 of these out. So each side there is 13, so you can kind of see the holes right there. That is 13. Now I need to put in the bracing. So again, I put these feet on just because, just get them out of the way so I didn't have to worry about it. But here are your pieces. Now the one with the Husky logo on it is going to go in the top. So the top front, which again is spaced back from the edge, so it's going to go on here, so it's behind the edge, and then the other two go on the back of the legs. So now you should see down in there, both of your legs do have rib nuts in the bottom, down at the top. So I'm going to put those in. Same black screws, which are laying right there. And then again, I'm just using a one of my Ryobi guns. This is just a simple drill set on low speed, and it just zips them right in. No problem with over torque or stripping. All right, so there is a table, obviously upside down, but is fully assembled. Now the way this is, I actually didn't see this how it was listed online, but if I measured from the base cabinet, so if I swing around here, these base cabinets from basically the bottom of the caster or the floor up to this top piece is 37 inches. So in my mind I was thinking, well, I would like these to be able to sit under the lip, because this is 24 deep here. These cabinets are actually, I think, 18 deep this way, and then like, I think it was like 28 this width or something like that. So they weren't perfect to fit under the table. But if I get back under here, what I'm going to do is obviously flip this over, and then the cabinets, I believe, should fit underneath this edge, and they're going to have about a 2-inch overlap front and back. So it'd be awesome to have some bookends. And when I measured from basically the tabletop here, or the bottom edge, all the way to the bottom of the feet, I was getting something around 42 inches or so. So these are designed to really fit underneath there, but you don't have to worry about necessarily the feet so much, even though they screw in and out. So I just screwed them all the way in as a starting point. Once I get everything set up, I will adjust the feet to make sure the tabletop is flat. And I'll use that with a tape measure just to basically double check myself. And I can also use a level, but if I show you, I spin around. Now, this right here is where that table and the cabinets are going to go. So I need to take a minute, turn off the camera, basically get all of this out of the way, and then get everything set up in there. All right, so you can kind of see I've parted the sea of parts here and got the table moved into place. Now the table right now, I just have that box setting up there. That's just some cardboard that's going to eventually get recycled or burned, whatever else. But the table itself is able to hold 3,000 pounds. So having in that spot right there, right in front of the other cabinets, is a great place. And it's really not that heavy. If I wanted to move that out further, if I needed to do another project or anything else, I could do that. So a couple things I want to note on these cabinets is that I had said it really doesn't matter where you put the wheels on as long as they're front to back. So let me add a little caveat to that. These cabinets themselves are height-wise designed to fit under this table. So if you're going to leave them outside of the table and not put them under the table, it probably wasn't going to matter too much that the locks are on the back side. Once you slide the cabinets under the table, the locks are going to be hard to get to. So keep that in mind depending on how you're going to configure this or how you're going to store them. You may want to have the swivels on the back and the locks or the stationary wheels on the front so you can lock them. Otherwise, if you're just going to have them like I do, where it's under the table but you can get to the back side, it's not going to be that big of a deal to really get to those locks. You can see they're just peeking out under there. You can reach your hand under there and lock it up. So now you can kind of see, if I show you, these are the benches, and I've got the table itself about 28 inches away. So that is, just under 3 feet, about 2.5. And that is a pretty good distance to be able to walk under there. Now you can see the cabinets do fit way under the table. They're definitely not as deep as the table is. So you can move those out if you want to, or you can slide them over, and you can see that I've balanced them this way. So they're actually touching over here, touching in the middle, and then I've given myself just a little bit of room. It's up to you. You can either balance them side to side and have a little bit of room either. You can kind of space it all out so they're even between the table and the cabinets and everything else, or you can just slam them all to one side and give yourself a little bit of extra storage room, which I'm going to do. Now, a couple things I had thought about doing was utilizing the back side of this table. So I want to be able to work up there, and they had said the wood is good, it's covered, but I thought about maybe putting a stainless steel top on it. That is just more for a little bit of durability, plus I might be able to TIG weld up there later on. I'm not too sure yet, but you can see kind of once you have all these parts out, you could also put in another table here. There's some great tables out there that are welding specific, just metal tables. So I could get those in here and put one right there as I want to. But if I back up and show you, one of the great things that I had thought about for this was that this was going to be a little bit more of a studio-esque piece that I thought I could do a lot of videos and a lot of explanation and stuff like that up there. So now the only downside to this is that I have all of this packaging over here. All of this came with those boxes, so that's got to be getting rid of. And the foam and the stuff out of there, I think I'm going to actually keep for shipping. Really good stuff. The thing I liked about these Huskies, and this is not a Husky brand, these red cabinets, but they did come from Home Depot about 5 years ago, I think, something like that, because I had them in storage almost a year before I put them in. The packaging on them is phenomenal, and these are made over in China and shipped over, and the packaging is second to none. I tell you what, they package these things up really, really well. Mine are not scratched at all. I think the only thing you could say is you can see right here there's a little bit of a dent in the cabinet, but you know what, that is not a big deal. And I can also take this back section here. I could take some pegboard, really. I could probably put some pegboard in there if I wanted to use that to hang up some tools. I can also do that on the side. You know, if I move over here, you can see there's a little bit of a lip for the wood sticks out further, so you could also, you know, put a section of pegboard right there and make some tool holders or something fun to go in there to really utilize the opportunity with it. So there's the next evolution of the shop. These will be utilized very well. I think initially what I'm going to do with them is take all of these small loose parts off the Gray Lady, and I'll probably just store them in the cabinets. Don't really need them for tool storage. I don't have that many tools yet, and I stress yet, but having just a lot of little stuff just laying around that's getting kicked around, dropped, all that kind of stuff, I'll probably just take all the small pieces, store them in the cabinets, and that will be good until I get the Gray Lady done, put back together, and then those cabinets will open back up to where I can put more tools in there or something else. So hopefully, if you guys are interested in this stuff, the table again supposedly holds 3,000 pounds. So if you're building a nice big block and you need a table spot, there you go, it'll hold it. Otherwise, I will put some links in the description out to probably to Amazon or Home Depot, depending on what I can find. But if you guys want to check out costs or shipping or anything else, I'll put that out for you in the description. Otherwise, like, subscribe, all that fun jazz from Basin Motorsports. We'll see you next time, and have a great holiday season, the last couple weeks of December, and we'll catch you in 2020.